Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Tea and Questions, in which you can see my face again. It's great, it's good news, and I'm drinking from this cup today. I was asking myself, are these flowers? No, they're fireworks. No, they are flowers. They're like really thin purple flowers, which might be hard for you to see. Based on the lighting. But we're here, we've got some questions, we've got some tea. I want to say thank you to the people in the comments. There's been like a lot of back and forth going on in the actual comments. And now there's a train and plane going by at the same time. I'm going to cut this. There we go, they've finally gone past. But yes, you guys have been out talking to each other in the comments and answering each other's questions where you can and giving each other advice, and I think that's awesome, and I want to say thank you for doing that, and you're still an awesome community, so good job you, pat yourself on the back. Alright, let's begin. The Failure Zone asks, Hollow, you told us about your opinion on actual feminism, but what do you think about the pseudo-feminism that consists of people who think that white males are basically evil incarnate that has taken root in some corners of the internet? And someone replied saying, it was Taylor Greenfield, replied saying, and about people who think all feminists are that way, if you don't mind me adding two questions. So we have three sides to it. Feminism, crazy feminist, and the people who think all feminists are crazy. So we have a feminist, which is A-okay with me, that's good, this is good. And then the person who thinks all feminists are crazy, that's really dumb and bad, that's ignorance. And then the sort of apparent fake feminist who thinks all men and white men in general apparently are the worst thing ever. Also really bad. So the feminist here in the center is awesome. Feminism is about equality. That's as far as it's just the idea of equality is a very basic and simple concept that shouldn't need to be discussed and explained, but it does in the world we live in. It's amazing. It's like imagine let me I saw this post on Tumblr the other day, and it was about why are we voting for equal rights for gay people and women in general and such, because it makes no sense. Everyone should have equal rights. Why do we need to vote that gays can have equal rights? It matters 0% what sexuality they are. Every person should have equal rights. That's the whole point of it. So with feminism, the idea behind feminism is equality. That's it. Now, there are people who take it to another level, I suppose, in the world. There probably will be in all things. They take things too far and not far enough or whatever. And there will be people who just hate men in general or whatever, but that's them and that's what they do. There's a lot of people in the world who are just assholes and are either ignorant or just like really angry about a few cases that have happened to them, and then they're throwing all these small things, a few things that have happened to them onto every person ever in their future that goes by that like appearance or type of person, I guess. And there's no real way to deal with this. People like that exist. And on the opposite side of it, people who think all feminists are crazy and men haters and stuff like that, they're just really ignorant. And all it takes to fix both sides is removing this ignorance and a bit of knowledge and a bit of understanding. And I think forgiveness on both sides is really important. Otherwise, it's just never going to work. I used to think feminism was like, so women just hate men. Is that what that group is? And do you want to know how old I was when I thought this? I don't know, 12. And then I learned over the next few years what feminism actually is. And then, no longer ignorant and no longer a dick, basically, about it. So I think knowledge is going to be really important to fixing an issue like that. And sadly, there's no way to sort of do that apart from talking to these people and letting them know in a civilized manner, the reality of the situation. So yeah, it's an interesting thing to think about, Failure Zone, but I don't think it's going to be fixed overnight, that's for sure. Next up, we have J Games saying, I'm attempting to write a book. I think I'm a bit too young to try and write a full couple hundred pages, but that's what I want it to be. My main problem is that I have so many ideas, like every time I try to write them and how I think them, it never works. I can't put the thoughts of the thing in my head onto the page. Dude, we all know that pain. Do you have any tips on how to do that without making the writing only work if I'm reading it? Well, honestly, I am not a writer, and as you guys know, or at least hopefully you do, I have mentioned that I would love to do law and create law and write and stuff like that in my spare time, which is a hobby that I'm going to sort of start doing in the future, hopefully. But for me, I might have an amazing idea like you might, but I won't know how to put it on the page in a coherent and enjoyable way for the reader, because I have no real experience writing like that, and it seems like you don't either. Now, my advice for you is to keep trying. Obviously, experience is a good thing. Learning from your mistakes, you're going to learn a lot more from making mistakes than doing it right first time. So just try and look at it that way. But what you would really benefit from is writing classes and writing lessons or clubs or whatever age range you are at, whatever suits what you need, is to take some time and go join a thing that helps teach you about that, or learn about it online, take online classes, I guess, but they're going to be a lot less interesting than in person, I think. And you can make friends that way, obviously, by going to a group and, making friends who also want to write and whatnot. But you're going to learn a lot of techniques and things that will solve this problem for you. And then in a year or so, when you've practiced and practiced and practiced, there's another goddamn train going by already. What the fuck? When you've practiced enough, you'll just be able to put the thing in your head onto a page in a really cool way. And sure, it won't be like instant. It'll take a while to learn this. And even then, it won't be like instantly from brain to page. But you'll know how to do it a lot better than you do now. And it'll probably feel a lot better and satisfying. So I really, really recommend keep trying and join some sort of group or club or lesson thing. And learn these techniques that are going to really help you with that. Next up, we have Evil Plum asking, "Hey, hello, where do you think the future of fantasy genre lies? Clearly, it's very difficult to make a good fantasy film, as much of the appeal of the genre in the character depths and the world lore, which a film doesn't usually have time to go into properly. Yeah. For example, the Eragon film was a resounding failure because it didn't have these pretty major aspects which made the book so popular. Obviously, the effects were terrible, the characters were terrible, the acting was terrible. Apart from the one character who played Brom, he did a fucking good job. That was terrible, wasn't it, that film? But anyway, let me just continue with your question. Personally, I think fantasy stories would do better in a TV series, and we've seen how well this can work with Game of Thrones. So what do you think? Would a TV series have a better medium for Eragon and other stories, or should fantasy be largely limited to books? I'd be very interested to hear your opinions on this. Firstly, limiting fantasy to books and saying, no, we can't make films, we can't make TV shows, and fantasy is terrible. No way. They should be made into films. They should be made into TV shows. We've seen the amazing success of Game of Thrones, like you said. And you gotta think that I'm looking at them now. The Game of Thrones books, the Song of the Winter and Fire, the Song of Ice and Fire books, they go into such detail, and there's so much to them, and they're awesome to read, but there is no way they have time to make a film that isn't like 17 parts that are like hours and hours long to actually like cover enough stuff. So they chose to make a TV show, like you said, and what that is an hour episode, 10 episodes a season for each book, which a lot of times isn't enough to cover all of the stuff, but it covers the main points and parts that make the show and the book series so good. So that's where they did it right. Now, imagine Eragon, the 4 books, into a TV series. I never thought of that before, and that sounds kind of awesome. As you said, in a certain time frame, even if it was 2 hours, they might not capture it. I would say that they'd need to chunk up each, film into each book into a couple films per book or something like that, which would be a bit too much. So I think a TV series like that, if they could get the funding for it, could be really awesome, and we could follow the journey bit by bit in the way that it was meant to be shown, in the way that it's awesome compared to the shitness was the film that was made. So that's a really good idea, and I think that would be really cool. And I have to agree, with a lot of fantasy, there's a lot to cover, and TV series and shows often find the time to cover those things. So yeah, now that I think about it, that has changed my opinion in general, and that's a really good idea. TV shows can benefit a lot from the fantasy world, but that doesn't mean there shouldn't be films. We've seen the success with The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, where they have found the time and the money and all that to sort of make the thing in its entirety, but I feel like with fantasy, you shouldn't jump the gun and try and do it when you don't have the money, when you don't have the time, and all that. So you just end up making something terrible that way. So I think TV is probably a good way to go, and it might be a kind of not world changing, but a saving thing for TV series and shows in general, because TV is dying because the internet's getting so popular. But that would be a really good way to bring TV back, I guess, to make it more of a thing to make fantasy TV series. At least from me, anyway, being the nerd I am. But really cool idea there, Evil Plum, and a cool question. Thanks. Next up, we have the Gaming Storm saying, "Hey, hello, I need advice. Basically, I want to start YouTube and be consistent and all that stuff, but I don't know how to tell my parents because I know they may say no and then it's pointless. But it's my passion, and I've wanted to start properly since I started secondary school. So, what do I do in this situation, and what is your opinion on this topic?" Well, basically, you're giving yourself walls for no reason. With my hair, when I dyed it blue, I told myself that I don't want to dye my hair or change like my hairstyle until my body is in the shape that I want it to be. I want to be pretty muscled, and then I can start changing this, because it's not as important as this, I felt. And I realized that putting these walls up in front of me, because I'm not in the shape that I want to be yet, by far, why should I hold myself back? I love how my hair looks now. I really like how it looks when it's blue, and I want to dye it more, and I want to do crazy shit with it, and I want to just do different things. And just because my body isn't where I want it to be at, and I'm working towards that, doesn't mean that I have to put a wall up and wait. What you can do is make it your hobby, just like I did. And if you want to be consistent with something, be consistent. Set a schedule. Make it something that you do every now and then on certain days, and make sure that you do it, and then reap the rewards in the future. However, you are saying something about telling your parents and saying they might say no. Well, it depends on how old you are. I feel like if you're under 10, for example, then making your YouTube videos and putting yourself on the internet can be a risky thing. You need to have a thick skin for that. You need to be ready for that. So you need to be older than that, I feel. I don't know what age you are, and I don't know what age people consider themselves ready to do YouTube, but be careful about that. That's what I would suggest. So make something when you want to. A good way to be consistent is to set a schedule, and telling your parents that you have a hobby like that is fine. I don't see why they would be against that, unless you're putting out a wrong kind of thing, a negative thing, and maybe you're putting your physical self out there a bit too soon when you're not ready for it or something. Your parents should care about you, hopefully, and so you just have to be understanding with that. So I wish you the best of luck, but it seems like you're just putting walls up in front of yourself for no reason. Just do it and see what happens, I guess. Life's a short thing, so there you go. Next up, Ender Dan asks, "How do you feel about the success of children's YouTubers?" A lot of people have different opinions on this, and what this is basically a lot of YouTubers are just using Minecraft as a platform to make a children's TV program, like Blue's Clues and shit like that. That's how I feel about that, and I think it's cool that those things are successful and a thing there. I think there's been certain people who have abused this for sure, such as some people that we've had some run-ins with, but what's wrong with children's programs? Children watch TV and they watch children's programs in the morning. Children can go on YouTube and watch some Minecrafter like Stampy Longnose and watch their children's YouTube channel, basically. There's nothing wrong with having that there. I don't want to watch it. That's not interesting to me at all. But I'm not a child. So why do people hate these people who are making something that suits that audience and something that's interesting and good for them in general? And so both sides win on that. What I think's bad is that it seems like a lot of parents are just putting their children in front of YouTube and going, boom, go watch it, this is good for children. And then we've actually seen this with Rage, and then they've been like, wait, this guy's swearing, you can't watch this. And then they've complained to that YouTuber, you've got to market yourself to the children and stuff. It's a lot of ignorance, basically, and it's a lot of facepalm. Basically, I make YouTube videos for me and my experience and me progressing as a gamer and my experience with the gaming industry and lore and all that and all these things that I'm passionate about and enjoy, and also the sort of realistic, real life side of me where, I'm trying to improve as a person myself and showing you guys that. That's my channel. I don't cater to children. If a young person wants to watch me, that's great. I really want to have a positive impact on their life. but I'm not trying to cater myself. I'm not talking in this funny voice and never swearing ever, and I'm so happy all the time, because that's really fake and weird to me, and I can't watch that. I can't do that. I couldn't do that for a minute. I couldn't even do it for 5 seconds there, you know? I don't know how people can do that, but I think if they can, it's fine too. It's not what I do, and I shouldn't be expected to do that, basically. So it's just like, you got a TV show, and it's like, I'm trying to think of an example, and now I can't think of any TV shows. So you have like something like Adventure Time, right? Kids and adults can watch this. It's an interesting show, and it's made for both. Then you have Blue's Clues, which is made for like toddlers and really young children. And then you have like, I don't know, back to Game of Thrones. Ain't no child meant to be watching that. These are three different things and with different audiences, basically. And it's fine to have the childish one, it's fine to have the one in between, and it's fine to have the one for the adults. That's completely fine, and that's my opinion on it. Finally, we have the final question from VIP Prince Gaming. You've said that you go running and jogging. What else do you do besides that to keep in shape, or is that the only one? This actually links back to the other thing that I was talking about with the hair and putting walls up. Yeah, I do a bunch of different exercises, and I'm not going to just take off my shirt and show you the current results and shit. That would be weird. I feel like that would be really weird for me to do. But basically, I am on and off with exercising. I fall out of it sometimes, I went... Linny came over from Germany and stayed over for like 2 weeks back in August, and since then I was just so like completely distracted that I didn't do really any exercise while she was over. Didn't do like any of my usual scheduled exercise. Did some, but not like on a schedule and going to the gym and stuff, which I should have. And then from that point there was this gap where I just didn't really do anything. Then I went to Germany, and I've just got back, and I've been like, wow, what the fuck is happening down here? What's going on? This is terrible. And I've got back on it. So let me explain you my routine and what I do to stay healthy. And I'm thin, obviously. I'm thin and skinny, but I do have some muscle that is, I'm fairly toned, I think. It's weird. It's like hidden. But yeah, basically what I do is home stuff. So, I have a routine. I have different exercises that I do at certain different times of the day. For me, I don't like to set a time, and I like to have it sort of coincide with something, so I'm like managing my time right. So throughout the day, I'll go downstairs and make a cup of tea a few times a day. So during that time, while the kettle's boiling, I'll do like, I don't know, just however many push-ups it takes before the tea boils. So let's say I do like, I don't know, 25 push-ups in that moment, and the kettle boils, and boom, my tea's ready. I've done 25 push-ups. I get my tea, I go back upstairs and get on with work or whatever, right? So I've done 25 push-ups today. I want some more tea. I usually have like at least 4 cups of tea each day. Go downstairs, start boiling the kettle. I'll do like, I don't know, 50 to 60 sit-ups during the time that it takes the kettle to boil, right? So now I've done 50, 60 sit-ups, 25 push-ups, I've had 2 cups of tea. I've got 2 more rounds of tea to go, and by the end I've done at least 50 push-ups, at least like, I don't know, 200 sit-ups, and that's like, like this sort of section of my body, and like, and the abs and whatnot, that are getting some sort of workout. And during the day I also, occasionally do my, what are they called? I can't remember the name of these. Well, I can't. Dumbbells, This is not actually as much as it would seem, I don't think. It's like 2.5 kg on each, so this is 5, this is 5, so it's only 10 kg. It does look bigger than it's meant to be, but it's not actually as heavy. I mean, it took me a while to get to that level with it, but I'm a skinny guy. But, I do dumbbells as well, and I do pull-ups as well. I've got a pull-up machine and stuff, and I do all this stuff when I can find the time, when I get the excuse during the day, basically, on top of going for runs and such during the week on specific days. And then I also go to the gym like 2 or 3 times a week and just do a lot of different stuff in there. I can't really give you a routine, but personally I think it's about time I get a personal trainer, so that I can get to the level that I want. I like being thin and this and being toned and stuff underneath, and it's nice, but I have bigger ideas for what I want my body shape to be, basically. And personal trainers and stuff like that are going to be helpful to me. But that is basically what I do, so you know, since you were interested, and it was relevant to the other question. Otherwise, guys, I hope you enjoyed tea and questions today, and then your tea if you had any. If you've got a question, then please ask me. If you had a question that was good and I didn't pick it this time, try again. I might pick it next time. And yeah, that's about it, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I've been Hollow, you've been you, and I'll see you next time, guys.